I'd like to call the meeting order. Today is September 9th, 2013. Everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cleary?
Here.
Here. Here. Meyer? Here. Burrows?
Here.
Coleman?
Here.
Whalen?
Here. 2 minutes of the meetings for August 12th. Minutes of the meetings, the previous meetings, August 12th for the village board meeting, and August 29th for the intergovernmental meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, deletions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. And seconded. Any questions to the motion? Roll call.
Cleary?
Yes.
Eric? Yes. Meyer? Yes. Burrows?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Whalen?
Yes.
Clerk's report.
Everyone has a copy. Total tax income received since the last board meeting, $311,368.16. I also have a letter here from a resident of the village to read. Addressed Mr. Bob Barber. Dear Bob, thank you for the quick response to repairing the holes at the front of our street. Please thank everyone involved, including trustees, Buddy, and his responding public works crew. In these financially challenging times, I know my understanding of all it takes to keep up the ongoing repair of everything in our city is limited, and I'm most often only thinking of our one street's needs. But at the same time, I want all of you to know when good repairs happen, we are also most appreciative of how hard all you continue to work to do your ongoing, real and difficult work to keep our city going. Again, thank you for repairing the holes. Signed, Ken Benji, the Association President, Highlandton Garden Homes Homeowners Association.
Thank you. Recognition of audience. Would anybody from the audience like to address the board? So would you give your name and the address, please?
I will do that. My name is Dale Bell. I reside at 423 Miller Street, Beecher. That's the Lang subdivision, the original development, if people aren't familiar with that. In addition to owning the parcel at that location, I also own a vacant lot adjacent to the address of 470 Orchard as well. In the case of both of those parcels, the title documents, along with the warranty deed, has and makes reference to some information and language that I think is probably pertinent to a situation we currently have going on right now. Basically, this language, which I'd like to read to you, it's a short paragraph, so hopefully nobody will doze off during this. This is entitled restrictions. This is out of a title document that was for the parcel at 470 Orchard Lane. Okay? Restrictions contained in the deed dated December, there's no date, 1959, and recorded on December 18th, 1959, as document number 893956, related to no dwellings shall be erected on said land unless the floor area consists of at least 1,200 square feet. All garages erected on said land shall be attached to the main building. All fences placed around land shall not be more than 4 foot high. No noxious or offensive trade or activities or any livestock, poultry shall be carried on said land. Nor shall any of the be done onto which may be or become an annoyance or nuisance to the neighborhood. This paragraph was not only written to our legal documents, but also other legal documents, and probably all the documents related to Lang subdivision. And so the question becomes here is that the developer, when he developed this property, obviously was looking for some standards that he wanted to achieve when this development was brought into the boundaries of the village. And what we've heard is, and this is unofficial, of course, so I don't want to think that this is official information, that this information is no longer valid. It's been eliminated, gone away, doesn't exist anymore. Okay? Now, this being in legal documents for our parcels, and probably some other people's parcels too that may not necessarily be aware of it, I'm wanting to know, is this information still valid or not? So I'm looking at the board to give some kind of official response. Is this information still in my title and in my deeds of my property, and also of all of the neighbors in the Lang subdivision?
If I understand what you're asking correctly, and Bob can further explain it, from what I understand in Lake subdivision, we all have covenants and restrictions on our properties.
Okay.
The problem came in when that came into fruition years ago, and even when the addition of the subdivision came into play, there was no enforcing agent of those covenants and restrictions.
Yeah.
So in which case, the village, in most cases that I've been accustomed to over the years, is usually there's a homeowner association. And in this particular case, there was no language to that effect. So then what would happen is, if I understand it correctly, maybe the attorney would ask this, or maybe Bob would, is if in fact someone violates those covenants restrictions, it then would become a civil matter in court. And
Okay.
someone would have to take the individual to court.
Okay.
Those restrictions are placed on the property. And technically, you cannot get a clean title on the land until the violation of this covenant.
Yeah, that's what my guess as well.
Right, so you can't get clean title. If the title company is doing their job, you can't get clean title. Now, in most new subdivisions that we have, an HOA is created, and the village sets up an agreement with the HOA that we won't issue a building permit until they get us a release. Okay, that works with Prairie Crossings, that works with Prairie Park and Nantucket Cove, MGM as well. In Lane subdivision, there was no HOA set up. And Don Lane used to tell us whether or not the building permit should be approved, and then the point in time came, when he sold all his lots, he said, I don't care anymore. So I am not going to give you an opinion one way or the other. The village can't by law enforce covenants. That's a restriction on the title. We enforce our ordinances. Now, there are covenants that are much stricter than the ordinance. Like you said, they're 4 foot. Our ordinance is 5 foot on a fence, so we allow 5 foot fences. Someone who wants to put up a 5 foot fence in the subdivision violates the covenant, but not the village ordinance. And that's the problem. Every subdivision has covenants that are different than the ordinance.
That answer, are we referring to a structure or a fence, or?
Fence, well, I think there's actually more than one situation here.
In the whole area?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
I got you.
this is not something that's just come up. This is something that's been around for some time. Yeah, there's been a recent development that has kind of highlighted
Brought it to light.
it. So the question is that, how does the village handle this? Because I would think that when the village brings a subdivision in, that there would be some kind of law enforcement or reinforcement process put in place, whether that be the village, or how does the village handle those things? Does the village go ahead and issue a permit even though it's in violation of a covenant or restriction?
The village has no stand on the covenants. Covenants are the responsibility of the homeowners association. As Bob's indicated, we administer our ordinances. The covenants cannot loosen the requirements of the village. So if they said, well, you're allowed to put a 10-foot fence up, you can't. You couldn't put barbed wire up. It'd be a violation of the village ordinance. So the village can only administer the laws under which it has control, and that's the ordinances. Covenants are the responsibility of the homeowners association. Now, since one was not developed, it's still against your property. So for like Prairie Crossings, they would have to have the entire development with a lawyer to go through and get all of those restrictions off the parcels. It can't just be one, it's got to be across the entire development.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So since you don't have an HOA, it almost would have to be every homeowner in that area would have to petition to have the rules on their property, their plots, consistently changed. You can't change one without changing the others. Because in Prairie Crossings, we looked at this. I live there. And we looked to make modifications, and it's a lot of money to make that conversion. And in fact, a lot of our people who are running our HOA said, well, we'll put in some bylaws, and we'll abide by the bylaws, which were in full conflict with the covenants. And a few of the homeowners consulted a lawyer to say, are we legal? We're not. We have to abide by the covenants. Now, as Bob's indicated, in any of the areas that have an HOA, the village should try to make sure we minimize the risk of the residents getting themselves in trouble unbeknownst to them. We want them to get an approval from their HOA before they get a building permit. So that their HOA's approved it, it's their own zoning group, or what do they call it? It's not zoning, what's the other one, Bob? Art committee.
Okay.
Architectural review board.
And what they would do is review to make sure the house meets the requirements of the lot. Any fences, I mean, in our area, you can't have a standard fence. It has to be a vinyl fence. You couldn't have a metal fence, even though they're fine, but that modification has to be approved by the ARC. It does give you those kind of limitations you can get around. But your area your concern is, we can't, as a village, administer those covenants. It comes to and as Greg's indicated, if anybody wants to challenge you on that, it would be a civil matter. One of the other residents in that area would have to say you're in violation of what's on your property and would have to take you to court. The village would never be involved.
Okay.
I think one of the things that you said, there's a number of things that have happened over the years.
Yeah, I think so.
And that's probably even caused that to continue, and whether or not you can do anything about it now, it's up to the court or an attorney or whoever.
And it also,
And I know of another case of where there was a fence on another street in that general subdivision where it started going up, and then they realized about the covenants, and I think at that particular point in time, Mr. Lake didn't let go yet, if I remember right.
No, the guy went around and talked with
To
me.
the neighbors didn't object, and the fence continued to go up, and that's basically probably the rule of thumb. Yeah, I don't know whether it is or isn't. The problem is why there was no language put in way back when. I don't know. I don't think anybody else knows.
and as Bob's indicated, if you do try to sell the property and you're in violation of the rules of the property, you would have to mitigate it before you can sell it.
Sure, right, or even if it happens with foreclosure, it's the same thing, then that could even cause more problems
Right.
for not only the neighborhood, but for the whole village then essentially, because now you have property sitting there that basically can't be sold and it's as is condition then.
So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, all right.
Anything else?
No, I guess that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board?
Yes, I know I'm not supposed to say anything, but my name is Dwayne Bell, and I'll tell you what, the fencing laws of Illinois say that this neighbor that you people give a permit to already owns half of that fence of Dale's. When you stand facing your neighbor to the right, you have to maintain that fence. That fence was put up there before Dale moved there umpteen years ago, and it happened to be a chain link fence. So anyway, this man already owns from the center of Dale's lot on to the back. You people give him a permit to build another fence. Here's a trough down the side there. You have it set back 2 foot, which was definitely illegal to state and federal laws. You look into it.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board? Now, moving the reports of the commission, Beautification Commission, Trustee Aaron.
We have a meeting tomorrow evening. It's going to be held at the beer stand here at the park, because there's some construction going on there at the village hall. I guess they're doing some more remodeling. So, give an update at the next meeting. It's at 7 o'clock if anybody's interested in the park.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Put the motor running.
Bring it up a little bit.
There's a meeting tomorrow night in the park at 7 o'clock at the beer stand, since there's construction going on in the village hall.
Okay.
Where in the park?
At the, not the beer stand, the bingo stand.
Bingo stand.
The beer stand.
They have beer in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have beer.
Bingo stand. Yeah, I'm sorry. And if it's inclement weather, we'll have a key to move
7
inside.
It's gonna be awfully hot out there.
Fourth of
That wasn't
July.
mine, that wasn't, I wanted to have it at the T-bone, but that would have been nice.
4th of July Commission, Trustee Coleman.
Yeah, 4th of July this year was very successful. We've got a meeting Wednesday night at 6:30 at the park. Not all the results are in yet from the meeting. We've we've got Nelson Collins here that has a little more to report on the 4th of July itself. Nelson?
Sure. Like you said, we did have an extremely good year.
We can't hear you with this motor.
We had the highest gross year we had in 13 years. The village has been doing a little over $175,000. That's about 20,000 higher than our previous high year, which was 2009. We were about 30,000 more in debt than last year. We lost about 2,000 last year after we did the park expenses. This year we're going to have about 28,000 in gross, so it's about $30,000 swing. So weather was great. Couldn't ask for it to be any better. Trustee Coleman said we do have a meeting on Thursday. We'll have the financials probably within a couple $1,000 of being final. We have a few expenses still outstanding, but it was a good year.
Meeting's Wednesday, no, so you said Thursday.
Do you have any questions?
There you go.
Meeting
You're a voice out here.
Meeting is Wednesday.
Wednesday 6:30 is our meeting.
Okay, thank you, Nelson.
Youth Commission, Trustee Kaporis.
Let's do it this way, guys.
Oh, I got a loud voice.
You gonna blow? Okay.
All right, Youth Commission, next event is Saturday the 14th, is camp out in the park. It will begin at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and people will be sleeping overnight in the park in tents. That's all I have to report.
Ribbon of Hope, Trustee Wells.
Okay, the Cancer Ribbon of Hope meeting we had on the 29th. The biggest push right now is getting the letter together as far as what is going to be sent out to possible corporate sponsors and also individuals that the committee is going to be sending these letters out. One thing that came up is in these letters is to also put 5 like business card things in the envelope so these people can now spread it to 5 more people. You know, so we're taking that mailing and going forward. But our push right now is to get money, you know, for this. We're planning on starting this project next spring. So that's our kickoff.
Anything else?
That's my report.
Committee reports, Finance Administration, Trustee Clear.
Kim?
Just gonna blow you over, probably. Hi, everyone. I think the Treasury report made the packet this time, so we have it in here for you reviewed. Taking a look at the account changes, there really wasn't much change month over month. We're slightly ahead of last month, which is fine. A little behind last year at this time. I think primarily we're still feeling the effect of the road resurfacing expenditures that we made were rather extraordinary a couple of months ago. But in general, things appear fine as far as our expenditures versus our income. The same with the committee. The committee's rather uneventful time for the committees last month. On the back side is your bills that were approved outside of the normal EP run, dominated once again by the fuel bills and the payroll primarily. And there's also then the graph that shows our 12-month rolling average, the rolling points of time every month. And as you can see, we've steadied off in the last few months as far as our village balances. The trend is still upward. So it looks like budget-wise and income-wise, we're doing very well. So really, there's nothing extraordinary to report. If no one has any questions, that's really all I have.
Just one point, don't forget, infrastructure still in general, 80,000. Hopefully we'll make that income.
Thanks, Kim. I make a motion approving the treasurer's report for prior month.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions to the motion? Roll call.
Whaling,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Pearl.
Yes.
Meyer. Yes. Aaron.
Yes.
Cleary.
Yes. All the variance reports are also included for our review. And the bills were sent to us under separate cover by email and are in front of us if there's any questions. There being none, I make a motion approving the bills in the order of $111,732.20.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions to the motion? Roll call.
Cleary.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Meyer. Yes. Pearl.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Whaling.
Yes.
The field work for the audit should be completed, and we're looking for a full report to be made available to the village trustees by October 1st, and the auditor presenting it on the October 14th meeting. We can have any questions on the report at that time. Utility bill administrator, we've talked about this in the last board meeting. We're looking to have a replacement, and out of 37 applicants, a select member group of Trustee Meyer, President Zamansky, Village Clerk Jeanette Connor, and Administrator Bob Barber reviewed 6 different candidates, provided an exam and interviews. They selected Donna Rooney, and she will begin working for the village on, Bob, it says Tuesday the 9th.
Tomorrow.
Tuesday the 10th.
You know, I always have a problem with days and numbers.
So she'll be at the October meeting for our review, for our introduction. She's currently an administrative assistant at the Sauk Village Fire Department. There was work in the past few months concerning the treasurer's ordinance being revised between the treasurer, deputy treasurer, myself, Bob, and the village attorney. We're trying to get that cleaned up. There's been some conflict with the different members involved, trying to get it resolved, so we're planning on having that presented to the board during the October meeting. Cash flow for since 2010, you want to give me more detail on this, Bob?
We do an analysis once a year on the big 3, going back to 2010. We dipped to our lowest point. We monitored that pretty carefully. Now you're getting a report from the treasurer showing the monthly cash flows. So we will just take his data and incorporate it into this one once a year so you can get a multi-year trend.
The 5-year financial plan has pretty much begun. Where are you at with that now, Bob? Obviously, we got the 10-year sitting.
I have it ready to go, but until we do our strategic plan, we will wait. Once the strategic plan is set, then we can start the 5-year financial.
And for report.
Public buildings and properties, parks and recreation, Trustee Will.
Okay, Light the Park campaign update. Last week, Wednesday, we had a committee meeting. We discussed strategies for this campaign to raise $90,000 for the Fireman's One ball field lights. There were some ideas that came up. We talked about possibly a golf outing, like a mayor, village president golf outing type thing. We also are going to be sending out sponsor letters to big corporate people like Pepsi or Coke or Budweiser or the Cubs, Sox, you know, so we went on and on as far as what we plan on doing. So that's a work in progress to raise that money. I think we all understand that it's going to take some time. It's not like it's going to happen this fall or next spring or whatever. We're looking at a couple of years down the road possibly. We also talked about rules and permit process for special events in the village parks. What we're going to do is we're going to, and I'm working on contacting Tim as far as the attorney for the village, coming up with some type of an ordinance that we can have on the parks so we can enforce these rules. I think you know, just posting them in the park right now is one thing, but you also have to have an ordinance behind it so we can police it as well. so that's what we're planning on doing. I'd like to request a closed session to discuss land acquisition. We wish to hold a session to discuss an offer to purchase a piece of property. There is a likelihood that action will be taken after the closed session on this matter after the meeting is reopened to the public. That is my report.
Thank you. Planning, building, and zoning, trustee Aaron.
The building department monthly report and code enforcement report were closed for your review. The committee met to discuss certain provisions of the zoning ordinance. The committee met last week to discuss concerns expressed in the village president and some board members in previous meetings. No final recommendations are being made at this time. We are going to be heading to future meetings. The September 26th meeting of the PZC, the president wishes to hold this meeting so that he can discuss with the PZC his expectations of the committee and what they expect from the village. And the new planner will be there introduced. That ends my report.
Public Safety Committee, trustee Coleman.
Yeah, Police Department monthly report is enclosed for your review. Presentation on Nexel. The chief will provide a presentation on the advantages of Nexel for emergency alerts in the Beecher community and explain how to sign up for this service. Chief?
When we talk about Nixle, certain things were realized in today's technology, and one was technology must be utilized by municipal agencies to help connect communities. Citizens can and do use technology. They already are online, on the phone, with or without us, and they want to know what's happening near them. Citizens are inundated with information from a variety of sources. We've got traditional media, the internet, social networking sites, etc. But the quantity of information does not correlate to the quality of information. Agencies want communications with the people they serve to be timely, effective, and trusted. The Nixle platform gives us a secure, easy to use, and effective system to share relevant information with the residents about the neighborhoods where they work, live, and visit. And what is Nixle? It's a reliable tool that provides a platform for direct communications between municipalities, police departments, educational institutions, and citizens. Agencies can send information on multiple platforms: text message, email, web, filling in critical information notification need. Residents register by providing their address or an intersection near them, a cell phone number, and an email address by which to receive notifications from official agencies. The citizen can then choose which messages they want to receive and on which devices. It's the information they know they can trust. Messages can be transmitted anywhere in a radius from a quarter mile to 10 miles, allowing neighborhood level, time-sensitive information to be sent only to affected areas. Nixle's communication information service is free to residents who access the notifications by email and online at www.nixle.com. Information received via text message is received as a part of their texting plan. So when we say it's free, if you have unlimited texting, then it's free. But if you pay per text, there is a charge, and it's what your provider charges you. Nixle doesn't have any extras they put on there. The way to register is you can go to www.nixle.com. That is one way to register. We also have an icon on the Village of Beecher website. There's a Nixle badge there and a link that will take you right to the site where you can register. Also on the beecherpolice.org, there's a connect to Nixle. Now, how does it work? Once you sign up, such as if we have a road closed, we can send a text message, it's live. The minute I send it, the minute you get it. There is no wait. And there's other notifications we can use. It doesn't end there. If we've sent out crime alerts in the past, when we had an area where we were having a lot of burglaries, we sent that information out. Traffic crashes where there was road closed or any type of construction, water main break. You can also do it for public events. So it's unlimited what we can use it for. And I'd be willing to answer any questions at this time.
Is Nixle to, the Economic Development Committee has discussed the possibility of trying to increase communications with the residents, like for instance, if there's a water main break and they're gonna be without water for a certain amount of time, can we use Nixle to advise the residents of that?
Yes, we could.
And same thing, like for instance, if we go long-term, granted, power will depend upon if you still have batteries in your cell phones, you know, for going out, we would be able to use it for that, like the
Yes.
Economic Development Committee is looking at.
And again, that would be real time. I signed up for ComEd, you know, and their notifications when they have power failures, and they're like 24 hours behind, sometimes 2 days behind. When I get the information, the power's been restored, I've had power for 2 days. So this is what we input, you get right now. The minute I hit the send button, you got it.
It is also my understanding as far as Nixle, it's free right now, but if we subscribe to that, let's say paid a fee for that, then it broadens the features of the program.
Yes, we're on the first plan. There's 2 other tiers that go all the way up to what they call Nixle 360. I can get information on that to see what it would cost our agency to get involved in that.
If you would, maybe do that to Tricia.
Sure.
Is that robocalling?
Yeah.
Nixle 360?
Yes.
Is this a promotion for a certain period of time?
No.
That it's free?
No, it's free.
Okay.
But you're limited.
But if you pay for your text now, then it's on a per text basis. It depends on your plan. If you got unlimited text, or if you get so many texts where you only pay if you go over, because you've heard of premium texting where people are adding $7, $8. There's no added charge to this, and it's a secure platform. I'm sure, Mr. Mayor, you've heard of Enlets before, and it operates on Enlets, which is the International Public Safety and Justice Network. That's what we use in law enforcement to connect and get information from Wisconsin or Indiana, Bureau of Motor Vehicles across all 50 states. We go through Enlets, and that's what Nixle goes through.
Now, is this going to be just for the village, or are you going to go out to the township, or?
What you would do is you can sign up by your zip code. So if, believe it or not, there's reporters in Chicago that signed up for it. When we had that water main break by the daycare and it was evacuated, it was on Channel 2 News on that day. So you can sign up for any area you want.
Is there a way for them to opt out? Well, they have to sign up to get it, right? They don't take a database from anywhere else.
No, they have to sign up at Nixle. They can opt out at any time. They can opt out of text messages and just access the web and look at the messages we send, or get it via email. It's up to the subscriber, whatever they want to subscribe to.
Jeff, could we also use that for weather alerts?
We could use it for that.
You know, if there's a tornado headed our way.
Yes, we could use that.
Thank you. That possibly you may want to refer to the weather service, because they're probably going to have more accurate, be faster to get that message out than we can. Because where we would be like the middleman, so maybe, I mean, it's not that we can't use it, but maybe it's something to be discussed later on.
I know that your carrier, I think you can turn it on and off as far as security. The other day I signed up and I had actually an Amber Alert come across the phone, you know, with a loud beep. And that was just going into your program on your phone and turning that feature on, you know, depending on the different.
I heard it's going to all cell phones now.
Yeah, that Amber Alert, they got override that.
Yeah.
Because mine went off.
Did it?
I got an override.
Yeah, was that Nixle? I don't
No.
think that
No,
was
that
Nixle.
was
No, because mine
Verizon.
came up too.
It depends on what phone company you have, but Verizon
Yeah.
will override your security and send that message out, so every phone in your system gets it.
The other way you could be getting is if you have a weather app on your phone, the weather app's going out with the broadcast of the information coming through the weather app as well. Any other questions? I'm sorry, Ron, this is you.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. Also, results of siren test on September 3rd. Chief, you want to update us on that?
Went off like planned, just like it should all the time.
Like it should.
It wasn't a problem this time. And the other times it hasn't been a problem. We're just going to get that one time, that doesn't work. I just thought I'd bring it to everyone's attention because of the weather and because of the heat. It seems there are problems when it gets really hot. Now, we haven't had those problems. Our radios were fine today.
So it works tomorrow.
So far, it's been good.
Yeah, good. Okay, update on school safety and security. The superintendent of schools provided an update on this topic at an intergovernmental meeting. Most of the brick and mortar improvements have been completed, such as vestibules for the schools. Chief, you want to continue on this a little bit?
Yes, we've almost finished with the written, when we conducted our school safety audit. A written report will be generated, it's in the process. We should be finishing up with that. Our next step, what we want to do is reach out to the private schools, like Zion Lutheran and the daycare centers, and offer our assistance to them, whether they would like us to do a security audit there, and we can extend our hand saying, we're here to help if there's anything you want us to do, we can do that. I've also talked to them about the next one.
Okay, but they have to request your services.
We'll go there and we'll offer it to them, but since they're private, we can't go there and tell them how to run their business or what to do. We can make suggestions, but only if they welcome.
Okay, any questions of the chief or myself? If not, that completes my report. Thank you, Chief.
Trustee Forrest.
Water and Sewer Department monthly reports are enclosed for your review, along with the water billing register for the months of July and August are also enclosed. At this time, I'd like an introduction of Jim Pradle as our full-time Public Works employee, effective November 1st, 2013. At the last board meeting, an executive session decision was made to hire Jim Pradle full-time on November 1st when his part-time hours are completed. Mr. Pradle has worked for the village part-time for the past 3 years and has worked well. He is fully trained and has his CDL license. He also has extensive experience in concrete flat work and use of tractors, skid steers, and backhoe. He will act as the sixth man in the snow plow route, giving us 2 men for each of the 3 zones we use to plow, cutting plowing completion time by at least 1 hour on a normal snow plow. Jim Pradle takes the place of Bill Merritt, who retired last year. The combination of Jim Pradle and the contracted sewer operator is less than the wages and benefits of Bill Merritt upon his retirement, so there's no negative impact to the budget. So at this time, I'd like Buddy to introduce Jim.
Jim, this is your village board. You know, Mr. Barber, village administrator, Scott Whaling, trustee, Ron Kuhlman, Jonathan Kaporos, Jeanette, president, Greg Smansky, Darcy Meyer, and Gail Arndt, and Brian Clary. They're all trustees, they're all our bosses.
The most important one up there is Jeanette, because she does your payroll.
Yeah.
Welcome. Yeah, welcome, Jim.
All right, consider a motion authorizing the purchase of a 2013 New Holland L225 skid steer loader in the amount of $28,750 from the Young Equipment. $43,350 was placed in the budget for the replacement of the 2001 Chevy dump truck. However, conditions in the last month have changed, and there is a need to replace the skid steer. The plan is to purchase the skid steer with the funding for the mini dump and rebudget for the mini dump next year. Public Works assured us that there should be no problem getting 1 more year out of that. Several prices were obtained for the purchase of the equipment and are enclosed for your review. With the municipal discount and trade-in, we can purchase the brand new unit listed at $55,986 for $28,750 with the trade-in. So it's our recommendation. I will go ahead and make a motion authorizing the purchase of a 2013 New Holland L225 skid steer loader in the amount of $28,750 from the Young Equipment.
Second. There's a motion on the floor and there is a second. Is there a question to the motion?
Buddy, one question on this. Does this have the similar equipment you have on your existing skid
Yes.
steer?
Any other questions? Roll call?
Whalen?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Capros?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Cleary?
Yes.
Consider a 48-month extended warranty for the 2013 New Holland skid steer loader in the amount of $1,185. This covers all major components of the skid steer loader for years 2 through 4. The first year is already covered in the base warranty. So I'll go ahead and make a motion authorizing the purchase of 48-month extended warranty for the 2013 New Holland skid steer loader in the amount of $1,185.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor and there is a second. Any questions to the motion? Roll call?
Cleary?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Capros?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Whalen?
Yes.
Buddy, status of the new hitch and plow for the F-800 dump truck?
Well, we were scheduled to go to Winco out of Maryville today, but we had a main break, so we used the truck to clean up. I'm not going tomorrow, but I'll be Wednesday when I go with Floyd out to Winco. So, work in progress.
Status of the tree trimming program. The old part of town is pretty much completed. Is that true, Bud? Basically,
Well, pretty much so.
pretty much so.
Yeah, well, there's a few trees that have to come down.
Okay. And we are now beginning to move into the new subdivision. We got a door hanger that was designed to be used to forewarn residents that we're coming to trim parkway trees. Hopefully this would relieve some anxieties when Public Works shows up in these new subdivisions and trees that haven't been touched before. Just letting them know, door hangers are in front of everybody. Leaf collection program is scheduled to begin on Monday, October 14th. Consider a motion approving a 3-year contract with Synagro in the amount of .044 cents per gallon for the hauling of liquid sludge. Three proposals were obtained from contractors by the sewer plant operator for hauling of liquid sludge from the plant to the farm fields, and the lowest price was from Synagro. Please see the enclosed report. So I will make a motion approving a 3-year contract with Synagro in the amount of .044 cents per gallon for the hauling of liquid sludge.
For clarification, Jonathan, it's 4.4. It's zero, I looked at myself, $0.44. So the actual price is 4.4 cents per.
So I said .0? Okay. 4.4 cents per gallon.
Correct. Just to give you an idea, we budgeted $19.90. He thinks he can haul that sludge out for about 60.
There was a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Roll call?
Whalen?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Capros?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Cleary?
Yes.
Status of project to paint the inside of Clarifier 1. A bid spec has been provided by the painting company for the performance of the work. What now needs to happen is a formal bid process. The superintendent and sewer plant operator believe we can do this on our own. Also, proper bonds and insurance also need to be provided since this is dangerous work in a confined space. The superintendent will provide more details in his report, and perhaps the committee needs to discuss to meet this further. I recommend that we do discuss, or we do meet to discuss this further and come back to the board. Brian will get together sometime before October and we can discuss this and bring it back to the board.
Yeah. All right, Jonathan, we're still gonna go out for bids on this, correct? Doesn't kill you to go for bid.
Yeah.
Move that forward, we can
The
go.
issue is not going for bid. The issue is, do we do it in-house or
Right, you contract an engineer.
Yeah, there's good arguments on both sides, and I think the committee needs to discuss the merits of both.
Okay. We don't need a motion to go out for bid for that.
So what bids you can get next month? I'm in no big hurry to get this job done.
What does it need to be done by, Bob?
I mean, I originally had it scheduled for when we redid the entire plant, but they feel it's necessary to do it before that. But another month's not going to be a big deal. I'd like to hear from Bud and hear from the engineer as to why they think it's just a matter of getting the engineer on the phone and having fun talk.
B&W's the one that's talking about?
Yeah.
Now, is
Unique
the sewer
situation.
plant operator making the recommendation, or is B&W doing
The
this?
sewer and water operator is making the recommendation that it be done in-house. B&W is recommending it be done with the engineer. So we need to have a discussion.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, can we go without clarifier 1 and clarifier 2 taking care of all what we need until they?
It's designed to be done that way, yes.
The grand plan was when we redesigned the plant, we were building 2 more clarifiers. So when those 2 new clarifiers went online, then we would rehab 2 old clarifiers. The problem is that plant has lasted so long, we've been able to not have to do the expansion, that the equipment in the old clarifiers is not going to survive the next expansion. But it's not a decision we have to make in 30 days. It's not a crisis, you know.
I'm just wondering, if we've got 2 clarifiers, if you're working on the one, you can take one out of service to clean it and paint it.
Yeah. Winter time is the best, but will the paint adhere to the?
That's gonna be the problem,
Yes.
environmental constraints when
You're
you
doing
put it
this in
on.
the spring and you get that 8-inch rain? No. That one clarifier is not going to correct. We all know that. We've been using 2 clarifiers in that plant since we opened the thing, and it was supposed to be able to run on one. But in order to get our ammonias down, we've got to run 2, because our parameters change, so. Buddy says you can run it on one, boy.
It's also gonna be- it's
Well,
also gonna depend on.
We have, I mean, you have run it on one. When you wrapped it around, we had to rebuild the whole arm and stuff.
Yeah, but
And I
that's
went
where-
in there and it was down for over a month and a half.
Boy, I hate you down
And that's a fact. The thing is, Brian, that, you know, you gotta go in there, you gotta sandblast it. You know, you don't wanna go in there and sandblast and have your new drives that you put in there, cause it's all that sandblast, it's gonna tear it all up. It makes absolutely no sense to do that. So that's why you know what, it needs to be done. I mean, it's rusting away to whatever, but like Bob said, it doesn't need to be done tomorrow. It's not a decision that needs to be made tonight by any means. And yeah, we should discuss it. We should discuss the pros and cons of doing it in-house versus, you know, hiring your engineer. I mean, the specs, you know, they pretty much speak for themselves. There's only 2 companies out there that actually do the epoxy paint for a municipal end. And Tanemic is like the big boys on the block, and, you know, John Sweeto met with them on Wednesday. So I hadn't had an opportunity to get, you know, the technical end of it, but John seems to, you know, and I kind of agree with him. I mean, I did things, you know, it's not a big deal doing mill tests or looking for the, you know, the test results. And they're very specific with application of the paint. So, I don't know, that's something you guys get to figure out.
Yeah, well, hammer that out. Should have something to report back to the board next month.
1183 Ash Street update, village president, superintendent, myself, and the village administrator continue to work towards a solution to this problem. Greg, you wanna go ahead? This was kind of,
Make the long story short, to bring the board up to date, we have basically done all that we can. We're still not located where the water is coming from. It's still our opinion. We've checked, double-checked, pre-checked, and checked the village water system. We do not believe it's a village water system. Bottom line is the water is coming from somewhere. And truthfully, we have only one other recommendation that we gave the homeowner, which was at stake today.
yes.
The homeowner is going to try and locate a farm tile, which is on their property, using a private contractor. If in fact they find this farm tile, they're going to stop and let us come out and look at it, and then we'll go from there. But as of now, there's nothing really else that we can do. But once again, we've 4 times now, we've checked our system.
Yes.
At least.
Yep.
And we pretty much come to the conclusion that once again, we're back to where we were when we started this. We still do not think this is our water system. But since there was an accusation made, we rechecked everything, and we're back to square one, where we've done everything we can up to this point.
Which is also just so important, with this problem we had, we contacted Simpson. Simpson came out and we had the leak detection test done for the entire subdivision, which this was included in May. I believe it was May 28th, if I remember off the top of my head looking at the paperwork. And because of this issue, Simpson came out and for free retested to reassure us the entire Bird Crossing subdivision, so. I thought that was kind of above and beyond one of our vendors to be willing to do that for us, which was nice to see, so.
It's still having a high flow with it being extremely dry.
Yeah. That's what's,
There's a little on taking that water out.
that's what's got us stumped for the whole day one. And I just went back to what I was gonna make.
Big thing was is that we wanted to, that reassurance to ourselves, you know, there always being that 1% chance that, is it ours? I'm confident in saying that this is not our water. And, you know, the homeowners kind of got
When that area was excavated and that portion of that subdivision was developed, it was a backhoe that cut through those tiles.
right now we can't find tiles.
And that's because it was cut, so which means you can get additional tiles lower down and you may have an aquifer kicking into these farm tiles. They're huge. I mean, those things go all over that farmer field. And if it used to pitch through that area and they weren't sealed when that cut was made, you're gonna still have them come. That's a problem.
The one thing to assure the board, there was another individual that this was the first time that he came out to the meeting. And I was very happy, and I think the others that were in the room that particular day, that, did you do this? Yes. Did you do this? Yes. We thought of that. Yes. Do we do this? Bottom line is, I think we covered everything quite well over the past 3 months, trying to make sure that it was not the village water system. And like I say, yeah, there's still a 1% chance why. We don't know what it is. We have no idea where the water's coming from.
That concludes my report.
I have one question. What did you see in this power failure as long as you took it right out?
It was exclusive to this area here. I checked the wells, I don't have any, and SCADA, nothing went offline. I mean, I didn't go to the village hall, but.
So the power failure was exclusive
Right.
down here?
And one last thing to bring before the board, which is not on the agenda, but I was kind of looking for a consensus of the board. In years past, we have leased space to Lang at the old Public Works garage. In lieu of payment, there's always been a trade for something that we've needed done. So I've been talking with Bud. We've had 4 water main breaks on Elm Street in the last 6 months, which is a short 1-block run where we got 4-inch main, 6 main breaks in 6 months. So moving forward, we're going to try to put something together to replace that section of water main ourselves in-house. And the thought is to have Lang do the excavation for that, hauling the stone, and take it as far as we can all the way to restoration based on his hourly rate, up to the $3,600 for a 2-year lease agreement that was done in the past. So would anyone on the board have a problem with me moving forward with that to bring to the board next month?
2 years would be about as far out as we could go on a lease right now, because we don't know what we're going to be doing with that building. So that's about as far as we can go right now. But it's a good plan to get a whole block of main replaced for free labor and what it's cost their pipe is. We've been accumulating the pipe.
Which
Are
we've
you
got
going
quite a
with-
bit of
Are you
it.
going with full-size pipe this time instead of?
Oh, it's going, yeah, it's,
We have valves in-house already in stock. We got a ton of pipe in-house already. You know, Maxwell Street costs us almost $100,000.
The excavation is where the cost
The
is.
excavation is a large percentage of that cost. If we can get that done and trade for, and keeping his equipment there again for another 2 years for the 3 months during the winter, I think it's well worth it. So an opportunity to replace some more water main.
When will you do this, man?
That's why I was looking for consensus of the board, and talking, this all kind of came up, I spoke to Scotty Lang today, Bob did, he could have some dead time coming up in a couple of weeks, so I know that the board is willing to do that for his lease, and basically we just figure we'd take his hourly rate and just use them all until we come up with the $3,600 for the 2 years, which is the rate that we was figured on in the past for other work that was done.
The reason it's coming up tonight is we don't have the lease to present, because the attorney has to draft it, but there's an opportunity to get the work done in the next 5 weeks. We don't meet again for 5 weeks. Let's do it. And that's another block of money we can take off the list.
Especially since it would be different if we just had one break.
Six breaks.
This seems to be the weakness right now, so we're better off, plus it's an undersized pipe.
And Buddy's been holding off on restorations out there, waiting for this decision. So it looks like we get root out there, it looks like a war zone, so let's get it done.
So this allows us to resolve this issue that's just been hanging.
And now, if we approve this, Buddy's gonna have to go in at night and put valves on the 2 sections before we start ripping and putting a new main in. Because right now, we cannot isolate that section of main. And that's another problem we have out there, is that correct?
Yeah, one of them I gotta drop like 5 blocks of main, so no, I have to come in at nighttime to do it.
The one at Catal does not hold that valve.
David, consensus?
Yeah. Everybody on board with this? Okay. Thank you. And that concludes my report.
Economic Development, Community Relations, trustee Martin.
Our committee held its second meeting on August 26th. Several topics were discussed, including the implementation of a 3-tiered information system. It's probably going to be more than 3 tiers, but whereby Nixle, that the chief talked about earlier, would be used for emergency alerts. We're looking at setting up a Twitter account for more informational things like brush pickup or dog licenses, or we could even reiterate emergency alerts, but people could sign up for this on the village website. We're looking at possibly email news groups for large information pieces that are too big to get on Twitter. The newsletter, we will still use, of course, newspaper for as much as we can, and then robocalling could be used for residents who don't have smartphones or computers. The village website also needs to be updated, and Jeanette is obtaining proposals for this work. It's decided we would not use Facebook at this time because of Freedom of Information Act. It's just too difficult to keep up with people posting things on the page, and we don't have the manpower to be able to monitor it all the time. Economic development topics at the meeting included use of incentives for new business attraction and expansion, the need for an economic development consultant to assist in recruiting commercial and industrial targeted industries. To that end, the committee agreed to consider a formal request for proposal from Gene Steinmarch of Flossmoor to act as a recruiter. This may include an interview later this fall. His current fee is $100 per hour, or he would work on some sort of monthly retainer, about $1,500 a month. Any agreement could be performance-based, but more of that will be coming in the next few months. And the fall newsletter is beginning. The deadline to mail it is October 14th, so deadline for articles is September 27th. And we decided that promoting Nixle is going to be a good front page article to let everyone know about that process. It's apparent from our intergovernmental meeting that word is not getting out about what's going on in town. People that we would have thought would have known about a lot of news items had no idea what was going on. So part of what we decided with communication is there's no one perfect way to do it. As many different ways as we can utilize to get through to people, the more the merrier. And people don't have to sign up for everything. They can sign up for parts of it that they would like, and not everything. So they won't be inundated with news if they don't want it. We had a meeting with the Chicago Southland Convention and Visitors Bureau on August 23rd, and the executive director, Jim Garrett, explained the programs, his program that his agency provides to the region. And one idea he came up with that he left us with is the concept of a rail viewing platform as a way to bring people in town. And the rail viewing platform is something I had never heard of before. We were all kind of people travel around and look at trains. And a lot of areas, Matson, or the area between Matson and Park Forest has a platform. There's one in Homewood. They're all over the country. And people travel around and use these platforms to take photos and videos of trains. And I'll pass around, there's some photos. They were here taking pictures of our downtown, and they thought it was really neat. In addition to watching trains, that there were some great photo opportunities. And Friday afternoon, we met with the Black Hawk chapter of the National Railway Historic Society, and they came up with that. It turns out that they have been coming here for the last 5 or 6 years, unbeknownst to most of us, and they come the first weekend in August when the beef roast is going on. Of course, there's been no beef roast the last 2 years, but they've had 100 or 200 people. They have an open house. They go down to the depot. They send people over to Buddy's and to the restaurants, and they take pictures of trains, and it was just phenomenal that none of us knew about this. But what I'm bringing it up today for is
it's just a really neat way. I've got some pictures I'll pass around of some things we found online of other towns that have put up rail viewing platforms. And it's something that would not cost a ton of money, but it would be a start to downtown and kind of give a theme where if people were interested, we even talked to someone who may possibly down the road want to open up a train-oriented hobby shop. And it would just be such a neat use for downtown. We were at such a loss of what to do. And it kind of continues the theme from the east side of the tracks with the gazebo and the caboose and the depot, yep, and even the Veterans Memorial, everything there. The trail viewing platforms or train viewing platforms can look not quite like a gazebo, but we want something that doesn't look like a metro platform either. But you can have them look really quaint and old, and all they need is a spot to view trains. I've seen some things online where they've already been here viewing, and there's videos of them watching the trains coming down the tracks, and it's just phenomenal that this has been going on, and we were unaware of it. So I thought it'd be a nice...
Modifying the depot area to support that
Yep.
without much impact to the depot. I mean, if you go to the same style line.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, and something that still kind of, it brings people in, it becomes a destination for downtown, but it still honors the history without putting some 21st century use down there. It's still something kind of historic. We've had the train since 1870, and what basically we're looking for is maybe consensus with the board. The first thing we would have to do to even consider this is to talk to the railroad about getting use of the land. They're looking at the piece on the west side of the tracks to the north of the storage units. And there's already a little bit of a rise there, so it'd be a perfect spot to put up a platform. And that looks like that's where they filmed now anyway. The sun is at their backs.
Where is that at?
It's
on the west side of the tracks.
It's on the east side of Gould Street, north of the old lumber yard.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Gould and Hodges.
Right.
Yeah, directly actually
But
across
it's
the
south
tracks
of
from the
Hodges.
Veterans Memorial.
Okay.
It's already raised there, and in
Yeah.
fact, I never realized that how high it was until today.
Right.
I just
Oh,
thought,
yeah.
Yeah, when you're coming from the old part of town, you don't see it, it looks level, but when you come heading west, I mean, it's
You go up Hodges, you can see the difference between the north side of the street and that south side.
it
That
just,
was built up for the granary though.
But see, isn't that a railroad property over
Yeah,
there?
Well, the first thing we would have to do is talk to the railroad to see if we could get use of that property.
Right.
And then the second thing would be maybe spend a couple of $100 to get some renderings to see, you know, what it would cost us to put up a platform to have something designed.
I think it just so happened, I don't know why it happened this way, but at the same time we were sitting with Southland Business Bureau, I had received an email from the Blackhawk group,
Yeah.
Blackhawk group requesting that we take a look at this possibility. And the Blackhawk group pointed out that the number of people that could use this or come here like on that August 3rd date, that apparently they've been doing over the number of years. It brings people into town, which then services our businesses by going to McDonald's, things like that. So it's not necessarily just a old downtown area type thing. It's just a unique thing to try and draw people into the village of Beecher and services that are business, or close to our businesses.
And they're even interested in parks and things. You get one family member that wants to film trains and maybe the rest of the family is not so excited about that. So they go to the park or they go eat and, you know, it just brings people into town that wouldn't normally be here. And they said Beecher's really desirable because it's a pastoral setting. There's not a ton of traffic. It's, you know, it's easy to get to. And
This Blackhawk, is there like a website for them or?
Yeah.
Yep. And actually, here, I can pass this around if you want.
Just for clarification, the beef roast used to be held on August 3rd, and apparently that's when individuals used to come down and go through the depot. But then when we moved the beef roast, they continued to do it. Apparently they held this there, and we've never known it. It's just at least we haven't, you know, the ones who met with them.
Because it just so happened to coincide on that same date.
Yeah.
And even those of us in Lions Club, they had no idea these people were coming.
But like Marcy already said, and Bob started researching it, it's unbelievable on what is online about Beecher and the trains. They're just flabbergasted.
Some really neat videos where they're looking into the distance, and in that spot, if you look down the tracks kind of snake a little bit, and they've got these, they take close-up views and back up, and they've just got amazing views of the trains coming.
I always wondered if we spent money in the downtown area, would there be a rate of return? I've always preached that. I think with this, there's a rate of return. There's definitely gonna be people coming down.
We get that's posted by the Beecher Historical Society. We're reaching out to them. Have they said anything about this or?
No, I mean, these people, I guess, have been talking to the Beecher Historical Society when they put this on.
Right, and the flyer says hosted by the
Yeah.
Beecher Historical Society.
I was gonna say the platform, I don't think necessarily would be connected to that, hopefully that has been discussed too.
No, but they had on their flyer, they were putting their event on in conjunction with it.
Ron, do you have a question?
No, just not.
But anyway, just kind of wanted to know what you think about it, and this was a little bit of a surprise hearing about it, something I never heard of before, but we thought it was a pretty cool idea, something to kind of get a feel for downtown, and it's something where if you do it right, again, it doesn't cost a fortune, but you can tie it in with other events in town, people could use the platform, you could have picnics there. Does everybody think that it would be a good idea to pursue this?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Whole new concept.
Yep. That concludes my report.
Thank you. The village president's report. In our packet, there was a sample resolution of support for the inclusion of the Ilion Expressway on the list of fiscally constrained projects in the Go to 2040 plan. There's been a lot of dialogue, both in the papers and the news, going back and forth of whether CMAP, Chicago Metropolitan Area Planning, will fund the Ilion Expressway. Apparently they're a key component to this. There's been dialogue going back and forth, disagreeing with IDOT over the statistics and so on and so forth. What they've asked us to do, first of all, we've written a letter, which was very detailed and very well written by Bob, which was submitted. And then after that, they have asked us to also adopt a resolution putting the Ilion Expressway into fiscally constrained projects in the Go to 2040 plan. Bob, you have anything to add there? So is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Resolution number.
2013-17.
There's a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any questions to the motion? Roll call.
Cleary?
Yes.
Aaron? Yes. Meyer?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Whalen?
Yes.
South Suburban Airport, sometime back, the Eastern Will County Council of Mayors, which consists of Peatone, Beecher, Crete, Moline, and University Park, except University Park wasn't there, met with the Secretary of Transportation for IDOT, Han Schneider, downtown Chicago, to talk about Senate Bill 20 that was passed, which makes IDOT the agency that's going to run the airport. The mayors that have met, the village managers that have met, gone through that bill in detail and found some deficiencies in the bill. And basically, we presented our concerns to Secretary Schneider. She seemed to be very willing and open to the dialogue that took place. And bottom line is, I think we're looking forward in the future to continue the dialogue to see if we can try and if the airport is built, at least do it right as far as the impact that goes on with the surrounding communities. Also, we discussed the possibility of a development district, economic development district, which included those towns. Basically, we would share the revenues amongst the towns rather than fight against each other or pit each other against each other for the businesses to go. The businesses would come to us and then use us as the bargaining point to get something better from another community. That's the way to put it.
Mr. President, there is a one-page executive summary of the development district legislation in your packets, and we were asked to take these to our boards and have you review them, see if there's any red flags in there for you, or something you don't agree with or don't understand. We want to make sure that if we're going to start pushing this down the road, that everybody's on the same page. We've had discussions as to whether or not we have all the boards meet in one big meeting to discuss the legislation, because there's a possibility of trustee and Peatone may have a question that you didn't think of, and you'd be at the meeting to hear it. We haven't really decided yet how we're going to vet out the details, but this is the one-page executive summary. It's not much different than what we were pushing in 2008. So please take the time to review it. If you have any comments or questions, please email Greg and myself with those, because it's possible that during the fall VA session or during the spring session, legislation might be coming out. And before we lose control, I want to make sure we have it there what we want. You don't know, this could be something that's buried again for 10 years, it could come up right away. But we have to be ready.
The bill that was sponsored in 2008, you said,
Yes.
did make it through the House, but then it failed thereafter.
I made it through the Senate. But we want to make sure everyone's on the same page, is we're not pushing something down there that you don't agree with or you don't understand.
Any questions then? Intergovernmental meeting was held on August 29th. It was a good meeting. One of the things that we did ask was if there was going to be any changes on how that meeting was run, for basically the village hosts the meeting, and then any requests for guest speakers or anything like that, or anything to be put on the agenda to go through the village. They agreed to continue to do that. And once again, we emphasized at that meeting that the intergovernmental meeting is something that Beecher is far ahead of everybody else, where we've been doing it for quite some time. And in the training sessions that we've gone to, highly recommended that the communities continue to do that with their taxing bodies. And here Beecher has been doing it for quite some time. So once again, it's I applaud for the efforts that whoever started it way back when. The one thing that did end up that night, though, and actually probably is something that we should put on the agenda, that there were several questions that came up about rumors in the village that night, where we basically set everybody straight, for as far as restaurants coming to town, not coming to town, and so on and so forth. It ended up being sort of fun, whatever, dispelling rumors that night. So if there you missed something, and I will probably continue to do so in the future. The surveys, I'm sorry, there was a comment presentation that night as well, which was very informative. The trustee surveys were completed, all of them went in on time, except for one. The workshops are coming up, could be held on a Monday evening, either September 23rd or 30th. And the second workshop could then be on a Monday, October 28th. Meeting times could be earlier or later, depending upon 6:30, 7 o'clock, depending upon your work schedules. And I would assume that we would want a recommendation of what you guys think, which would be a better meeting night.
Yep, the survey answers are handed out tonight, along with some discussion, and that will leave that workshop. We're going to start on page 1, right away through. And then the second workshop, we're going to present to you what we thought you guys said at the first workshop, and discuss that. So the first workshop will probably take longer than the second workshop. Hopefully we can get through everything in the first workshop. But we're ready to go with trying to come up with a strategic plan. So it's just a matter of picking a date. The fourth Monday in September is the 23rd. The fifth Monday in September is the 30th. Both dates will work. There's no Bears Monday night football on either night. I looked at that. So there's no excuse why we couldn't have a workshop on one of those 2 dates. And then the 28th of October would be our follow-up meeting. Get it ready for November approval of the strategic plan, which then gives me 60 days to get the 5-year financial plan.
23rd is our normal meeting date, right?
Yep. I gave you an outgo for the 30th is the 5th Monday, so you can pick either. Doesn't matter.
September 23rd,
My vote for it.
Okay.
7 o'clock, or you want to start earlier?
Go early.
6:30?
Can you make that, Brian?
Yep. 6:30.
All right, in here?
It'll be a long meeting.
September 23rd at 6:30.
You can do that by motion. Well, actually, that's a regular meeting.
Regular meeting night.
So just a motion to change the time to 6:30.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There was a motion, second, any questions? Roll call.
Whalen?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Montrose?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Cleary?
Yes. As you all know, we've been, Don Thomas retired as our village planner, and we've been interviewing planners. Our first choice decided to decline the offer, and since then we came up with a new firm. It's Mike Hoffman and Pete out of Plainfield office of Tesca and Associates. The proposal wasn't closed, except the one in your packet was changed. I called back and asked to negotiate the price, and they came down a whole $10. But anyways, it is our choice, And at the committee meeting the other night, for the planning and zoning committee with Gail and Scott, is we would ask that basically you would approve the appointment, and actually it's my appointment. And then thereafter, they would sit down with them and try to pick their brain for the future, of what they think of the planning of the future of the villages and so on and so forth. And then we will schedule that down the road with them. And then there would be an introduction to the planning and zoning committee meeting coming up. And then I believe at our first board meeting, our only board meeting in October, we would then introduce them to the village board. If there's no questions, I'd like to appoint Mike Hoffman and Pete Isu out of the Plainfield office of Teskin and Associates as our village planner.
Second.
I need a motion first.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's.
So moved.
I make an appointment.
Second.
There's a motion made and second. Any questions to the motion? Roll call.
Cleary?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Whalen?
Yes.
And as always, our second meetings of the month will be called only if necessary, but we've always been canceling our second meeting. And would you like to cancel the September, October, November, and December, the second meeting of the month?
Well, not September,
October.
October.
Sorry.
One you just
October,
made.
My mistake.
We might be meeting in October as a follow-up to the workshop. So let's take that one off.
Just November, December.
November and December, second meeting. We could always
October
cancel
28th would be when you'd have to do it in October, Bob,
the second workshop.
the second workshop.
That's the plan.
And so just November and December, the second meetings, which are the holidays anyway, so that would be normal.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, and seconded. Any
For
questions?
November and December.
Roll call.
Whalen?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Cleary?
Yes.
The November 11th Monday meeting is on Veterans Day, which is a village holiday, and we're asking that we move that meeting to November 12th at 7 o'clock, same place.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor and second. Roll call. Any questions? Roll call.
Cleary?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Whalen?
Yes.
And I would ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss land acquisition. When we come back from the meeting, there may be action taken.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion made and there was a second. Any questions on the motion? Roll call.
Whalen?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Cleary?
Yes.
Before we go into executive session, we'll have 3